all the deans, directors, associate deans, head of the departments, and my faculty colleagues and research scholars for this expert lecture. Without taking much of your time, so I don't stand between the chief guest and the audience. So it is a very formal lecture. So it is basically to interact with you. So Sarah's very nice enough to deans, directors, associate deans, head of the departments, and my faculty colleagues and research scholars for this expert lecture. Without taking much of your time, so I don't stand between the chief guest and the audience. So it is a very formal lecture. So it is basically to interact with you. So very nice enough. Sorry, actually, we are also making this live in YouTube. So that is why this little disturbance, so that people can also witness from Chennai campus and other campuses. So we are making a simultaneously live demo of this event. So I thank all the faculty for your time in attending this session. And Sarah is also very kind enough. We are also making this live in YouTube. So that is why this little disturbance, so that people can also witness from Chennai campus and other campuses. So we are making. Sorry for this. And yesterday, Sir was inaugurated our DST FIST centralized facility, X-ray, single crystal X-ray diffraction. Thank you very much, sir, for that. And with all your cooperation, we will just invite our chief guest for this expert lecture. And before that, I like formally to introduce our chief guest. I request Dr. Anil Kumar Gopinath for introduce the chief guest, because the man behind for all this is Dr. Anil Kumar Gopinath, sir. So I thank him for this opportunity given through him to us. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, please.
But there is screen, so that probably. Once again, a very good morning to all of you. We are very much delighted to have Dr. S.K. Varshney, who is a very senior scientist, I would say even one of the senior most scientists working with DST, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. And we are happy once again to welcome you, sir, to this audience. It is expected that he will address the issues with respect to the proposals, policies, and from a futuristic perspective, not only from the present status, but also from a futuristic perspective. I'm not here for a very lengthy speech. I would like to briefly introduce Dr. Varshney to this august audience. He has initiated his career as a geologist working on shibboleth sediments for their diagenetic behavior. He became from then on, he became the Life Fellow of the Geological Society of India and the Royal Nepal Geological Societies. Subsequently, after a stint as a lecturer in geology at Kurukshetra University, he joined the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India in 1990 to facilitate scientific cooperation of India with several partner countries. As counselor of DST, Counselor for Science and Technology, Embassy of India, Moscow, during April 2008 to 2011, he was engaged in the promotion of bilateral scientific cooperation between India and Russia. Afterwards, he joined the International Division of the Department of Science and Technology, currently in his capacity as the advisor and also as the chair. Dr. Varshney is playing a very key role in facilitating collaborations between Indian scientists and international scientific community. This is a very brief introduction. More than that, we are eager to hear from you, sir. And I think all the questions, different types. This is a great opportunity for us because we are going to hear from a very senior scientist from the Department of Science and Technology. It is not just, we know that it's not just a funding agency. It is promoting science, inculcating a culture of science throughout the country, not only from the present perspective, but also from the futuristic perspective. So this is a great opportunity to all of us. I believe that all my colleagues will make use of this opportunity. And with these few words, I would like to thank you all. And once again, thank Dr. Varshney for his kind presence here. Thank you, sir.
And before we start the session, we like to have our token of love to our chief guest. I request all the deans, directors to please join here. Just a hand this moment, please. So I take this opportunity to wish you all the women's present here a happy Women's Day. So hope all of you are happy. The reason behind is men.
Good morning to everyone. And I would also add my word of greetings to all the ladies on this International Women's Day. I read a poem this morning, so I'll just read it. She is the soul of storms. She is the freedom of wind. She is hotter than a volcano. She is deeper than sea. She has stars in her eyes. She has moonlight in her smile. She has lightning in her feet. She has music in her words. She has love in her heart. She has magic in her hands. She dances to the breeze. She swills to the emotions. She is the creator after the creator. She is the woman. So all my greetings to the woman. So I would like to thank VIT because I had come here for a very, very personal reason. And then some of the senior colleagues to whom I know for years, they asked me that if I'm here, why not I interact with the faculty, which is always a pleasure for me. Of course, talking to younger faculty is a much more desired because that is where I would like to share my dreams, my ambitions, and probably if I could influence a bit of your career path, that would be solving or that would be helping me in doing this thing. I have been doing a lot of advocacy on science promotion, even on social media. So you could find me at different places. So today what I'm going to present is based on our discussions, which I had in VIT in last 3 days, last 2 days. So I have tried, and my talk today is in threefold. So initially it is for the young faculty, why we should do research. And the second part is that when you are writing a research proposal, what you should do and what you should not do. And third part is good for everyone, which is more oriented how we are going to see science and technology to be in future. So I hope if it becomes a little lengthier, please let me know. We could stop some part of the section. First thing is, when you meet a researcher, especially a young researchers, there are so many ideas on the table and people are a bit confused. What is that they would like to pursue first? Should they do more of qualitative research, quantitative research? Should they do basic research, applied research? Should they target a product? Should they look for a publication? All those questions are there, and researchers are thoroughly confused. And if you ask a young PhD student, what is the topic you are working on? The fellow will tell you the title of the research program he's in. But if you ask him the second question, why he has chosen this question, then most of the time answer is because my guide has suggested. Okay, which should never be the case. Topic should be something which is not allowing you to sleep. Topic should be something which is always pricking you and you are crazy to find an answer. So that is my first point. I would like to tell young students that they should be very clear what is that they are working for, how is it helping to, what is the bigger questions. Because suppose if faculty is working in a given domain, given area, and faculty has got 6, 7, 10 students, each one of them is working on one part of the problem. But what is the bigger picture? So you should have an idea what is the bigger picture which we should answer. And if you are going to develop a product, then you should know who are the market player. What are the products which are already available in the market and how you are going to do the value addition. Will it more be easy to use? Will it more be economical? Does it make good use of the local resources? So we need to come out with those things, and that will help you in working out a good research question, better understanding, and of course, eventually delivery of the product or knowledge, whatever you develop, to the market. Now, this picture I have tried to show two kind of system. One is standing water and one is fresh water. Now, when you see standing water, very slowly there is some algal growth and lot of other activities, and the water starts stinking. On the other hand, we have got a freshwater source where water is always fresh. You can, if you wish, you can even drink it, and it maintains its quality. The idea is, if you do not progress, if you do not do research, then you stand at a place. To survive in the society, in the market, you need to upgrade your knowledge, constantly upgrade your knowledge. Otherwise, you are going to miss the bus. I'll tell you, how many of you would have seen Kodak films, the famous camera? They did not go to the digitalization and they lost the market. On the other hand, I'm not sure how many of you would remember that only two cars, Hindustan Automobiles ambassadors and Padmini Fiat, they ruled Indian roads for ages. But today, is it possible that any car model could survive for more than 2 years? Because every day you get newer things. Ideal thing, your phone. The moment you start using it, it is older. So better version is already available in the market. That's the power of research. So we are all living in competitive space. You need to compete. And if you have seen even the movie Three Idiots, even to take birds, we need to compete. So what if we need to survive in this world? And research, there are several cases like Bose versus Marconi. Bose did it first, but Marconi reported it first. And all the credit goes to Marconi, not to Bose. Okay. There are other considerations like, so what I'm trying to say is that you need to compete and you need to make it clear. Compete does not mean that doing your research, but you need to publish it or patent it, whatever you would like to do at a reasonable time. So there are several workers across the world who are engaged, and many of them may be working on topics close to each other. It is very important that you do your work timely. And then, as I said a little before, there are chances that if you are not doing research, you will lose the battle. So there are several other cases like our own HMT watches, which we don't see now. They were once pride of India, but now digitalization has killed them. Cameras have gone. If you see TV from solid state to LED, lot of changes. And companies who did not change themselves, who did not adopt the market thing, they could lose it. Nokia phone, for example, they were leader. In fact, Finland started the mobile program. So before that, there was nobody would have seen mobile phones. But today they are not there, simply not there, because they missed the bus and they did not go into smartphones, and that costed them the market. And then it's not that you have met your target and you are done. Challenges are everywhere, every step. So if you identify a research problem, by the time you are going to complete it, you will know what are the futuristic challenges or immediate challenges which you must do after doing your current work. So remain focused, keep on doing. And then there could be situation like COVID, lot of uncertainties. You don't know what to do, but then you have to find solutions. So COVID, what happens, it's not only the medicines which we worked upon. We worked on informatics, we worked on engineering devices, and even vaccines. You know, producing first 10 or 100 vaccine is science, but multiplying it into billions, supplying it to throughout the country, that is engineering. So what I'm trying to say, in case of emergency, in case of exigency or uncertainty, you could be asked to respond to the situation, and only new information, only new knowledge could help you survive. So if I could say, research in simple language is that we are looking for new information, new understanding, and new facts. We are using it to solve problems or increasing our available knowledge, testing theories, making observations, to be systematic, organized, and observed. I think I'll come to this line a little later when we are expressing how we should write projects. But question is, who are the researchers? So very often we feel that only those who are in academic environment or scientific environment, they are the researchers. And if that is the notion, please correct. Because I feel that anybody who has curiosity is a researcher. Okay, so imagine a school child who want to give an excuse to his or her teacher why homework could not be done. So he or she will come out with a creative idea which was not used yesterday. Okay, so that is research. So you need to be constantly thinking, you need to be imaginative. If you see our kitchen, which is of course in our homes, mostly ladies are taking care of, each one of them is a researcher because they are trying to develop a new recipe better than yesterday. They are trying to experiment different combination of spices. And I'm not sure how many of you will agree. If I say nanotechnology, we have heard this term in last 100 years. But in India, it is being practiced for thousands of years. Anybody can tell me how? Indian kitchens, I think all of you are used to chutney. Okay. Chutney is grating of leaves at nanoscale. And it has a different taste, different pungency than the leaves. Okay. Even the effects are different. So it's not only taste, but the nutritional medical value is enhanced. And that is done, if you remember, most of the Ayurvedic doctors, homeopathic doctors, they are giving you grated powder. That is nanomedicine. Because they know medicines have a different effect when it is given as a coarse powder or a grated powder. So that is there. Many of our homes, we are collecting kajal. That is collection of carbon at nanoscale. Okay, so what I'm trying to say that there are so many things which we have been practicing for ages, but we did not go for documentation, we did not go for scientific validation, and that is why we are not valuing them. And we say that nanotechnology is one of the recent science. Only last 100 years we have got it. So even coming back to this question that who are the scientists? So farmers are also scientists because farmers are interested how to reduce load of insecticide, pesticides, how to reduce load of fertilizers, how to get soil fertilized naturally, how to reduce water during irrigations, how to increase crop yield per hectare. So these are the questions. Even farmer is there. Same way, a worker on the industry floor is a researcher because he would like to use how to save energy, how to save materials, how to design it much better. So anybody who is curious, who is thinking, is a researcher. So that notion I just wanted to express. And one thing, when you're sitting in an academic environment, you should know what is the purpose of your work. Are you going to generate new knowledge, which we normally say basic sciences, or you are going to draw an application or applied sciences? Now, if you are going to generate new knowledge, it should be a quality knowledge. What I mean by quality knowledge, because it goes, your valuation is always judged based on your previous work. And your previous work is analyzed where you have published. Okay, what is the impact of that paper, journal? And that is how your research assessment is done. So you should be doing quality thing. If you are doing application, filing a patent, you should see who are the current market player and how your new product is going to be introduced into the market. Now, this is a very, very important question that whenever you are doing research, must be very careful about ethics. And if you don't know what is ethics, ask your heart. Your heart will tell you what is correct and what is not correct. Okay. So several times we do some dishonesty, like taking somebody else code, somebody else right, or fabricating data. Or I think we should be very clear. Whatever research you are doing, wherever you are publishing, it should be done ethically. And I think your faculty, your senior colleague could guide you more on several of these aspects like principles, honesty, right, fairness, consent, choice, honor, integrity. These are different aspects of ethics and has to be done. Okay. And those who are in bio or medical sciences, there is a separate full chapter on bioethics or clinical trials. You have to take those clearances. Now, question is, several faculty may ask, why should I do research? Because it doesn't pay me anything more. I get my salary whether I'm doing research or I am not doing research. So returns are not in terms of money, but returns are indirect. And these help you in building knowledge, facilitate learning, access to latest informations, and you understand issues. You know, all of us have grown up in a subject vertical. Some of us have studied physics, some of us have studied chemistry, mathematics, biology, electronics, mechanical, computer. But our challenges are not in those verticals. Challenges require an integrated approach. So we had COVID. So everybody is supposed to contribute, whether he's a medical doctor, he's a medical scientist, or an engineer, or an economist, or a geographer. Everybody need to contribute. How we should address. So it also helps us in succeeding business to disapprove lies and truth, and to find, gauze, and seize new opportunities. And of course, it promotes love and confidence in reading, writing, analyzing, and sharing valuable information, which you will not learn otherwise. And then it also helps you in development of your personality, and you are considered as a responsible worker in a given field, and people value your opinion. You know, before that, you may be doing whatever you are, but then people will not take you seriously until you have proven your research mettle in a particular domain. So that is very important for a larger visibility, that your work should be there, and that helps you in gaining more and more funding also. Now, coming to second part of my talk today, which is more on how to write. So basically, writing a research proposal is that you need to put together all the ideas, whatever you have got. And it is primarily, you need to say what is the issue you would like to work, how you would like to work, and how you would be pursuing it. So it helps you to plan and review. So you need to divide your project into various parts and see how I do this, how I will do that. It serves as a guide, because if you have already created a PERT chart, you know where you are lagging behind, where you are moving fast, and that helps you in controlling your action or wherever require corrections. And also it gives you idea about time and budget estimates. And mostly what we are saying is that translate your ideas in a paper and communicate this to reviewers or funding agency. And that is where you would develop more and more good proposal. Nothing is impossible. Only thing, you should have guts. You should come out with a clear idea that this is what I'm going to do. These are some of the agencies which are funding scientific research. They are not complete by any means. These are only suggested. So you could apply to any of them, or you could apply to international grants. So even from outside India, there are grants which are available. So first thing is that you need to identify what is the problem and can you convert your idea into a workable model, and you can explain it to others. This part, explaining it to others, is very important because initially you can explain it to some of your colleagues or some of your confidants. And then when you are writing it, the reader must appreciate what you are going to do. Because if they cannot read it or they cannot understand it, that becomes a bottleneck. So you should be very smoothly, very easily conveying what is the problem you would like to work upon. And then if you could develop that how this would be connected to the society, that would be very meaningful, because then what happens if there is an immediate target group which would be benefited by the knowledge you have created, then it brings more and more values. People would be accepting it more easily. And then you should identify who are the potential partners. Now, why I'm saying we need partners, as I said a little ago, all of us comes from a subject vertical and problems are multidimensional. It could be approached from different perspectives. So you should know which faculty you would require, and then you should talk to them. And that faculty could come from within your own department or a school, or within your institute, or maybe in some other institute. So you should be complementing to each other, supplementing to each other. So you should know that this issue has so many aspects and I need to be taking care of this particular aspect, and my co-workers would take care of those aspects. So think big but achievable, because at the end of your project, all funding agency will ask what you had promised at the beginning of the project and what you have finally delivered. And that will define your future funding. So always make sure whatever you are promising, that should be realistic. And then, of course, there are several terms which are being used, like concept paper, pre-proposal, or full proposal. So normally, funding agency would ask for full proposal. So you need to submit complete documents with all attachments. But sometime when the program is very popular, then funding agency may ask for some screening at the initial stage, because why should we bother each one with a lengthy proposal? So they ask you a pre-proposal. We recently did it for the BRICS call. So we invited this time pre-proposal, and then we selected 100 proposals which are to be converted into full proposal. But I must tell you, writing pre-proposal is much more difficult than writing full proposal, because you are supposed to write limited number of pages, and in those pages you need to write everything what you will write in full proposal. And more importantly, concept paper or pre-proposal becomes the deciding factor. Should you be invited for the writing full proposal? So you need to take care that whatever you intend to write in full proposal should be there in full proposal. It should be attractive enough that reviewers are forced to invite full proposal. I use the word are forced, because if it is not that attractive, then probably you lose the chance. So make sure. Concept paper is when you are writing something very different, which is not in existence. And like this morning, I was discussing with one of your faculty who said that she would like to develop a clean environment center. So she need to write a concept paper. Okay, so initially it would be a shorter document. What should be the broad features, and she need to develop the various boundaries within which the center would work. But eventually she has to develop full proposal. So concept paper and concept paper helps you in forming an opinion. Pre-proposal is a decider, and that requires if you need to be invited for full proposals. Now, what are the features of a good proposal? This is something very important, and I would ask all of you to be very careful. First of all, we are looking for something new. So funding agencies are not interested in a proposal if something has been done elsewhere in the world and you are doing it in India. No, you can do it. You can generate local data, but we are not interested. We are more interested if you bring in some value addition, and that value addition needs to be explained. This is what I would like to you. Second thing is language. Don't throw scientific jargons. All of us understand what we are doing. Okay. So try to make it as simple as possible. The language should be such that referees who come from diverse background, one thing I hope you will appreciate, that we do not understand each other's work. So if you ask a biologist what a geologist is doing, probably he may not be very happy. Or if you ask a mathematician about biologists, then he'll say, what kind of work? I don't know. Our referees come from diverse background, and all of them should understand the rationale, the logic, why you are going to do a particular exercise. So if you could communicate that, that is important. Next parameter is how it is relevant to society or to a challenge. For example, recently we had COVID. So those proposals which were targeting COVID got an automatic priority because you are trying to solve a problem. Now, I'm not saying that they are non-competitive. They remain competitive. So there may be several ideas on COVID which could not find funding. But if you see overall, because it was a sudden requirement, it gets a lot of priority. If you are working for the betterment of our society, be it water, be it energy, be it natural calamities, or any other sector, if it is of relevance to the society, it gets a priority. So I'm not saying basic research are not important. Basic research have their own place, but we would like if new knowledge could be of use to the society. And next is demonstrated competence. Now, your proposer is your advocate before your referees, because you are not there when the proposal is being read. So people would like to see what you have published, where you have published, what are your patents, what are the other knowledge you have generated or created. And that would help you in their understanding what you are capable of doing and what would be the quality of work that you are doing. So your biodata tells us. So that is why I was saying that you should be going for index journal also. We are not giving any credit to papers published in conference proceedings. Sometimes conference proceedings are very important, but unfortunately, we are considering only index journals as counter to your work. Then we would like to see what is the feasibility, whether the work is doable or not doable, whether you can do it or you cannot do it, whether your institute would permit that scheduling or not. So these are the feasibility parameters. Then time, similarly, we have to see that whether the time you had asked for is good enough. Your personal enthused, that is checked when you are coming for presentation, how excited you are for the work you are proposed. And then of course, literature understanding, what is happening all around. and what are the promised deliverables. So promised deliverables could be publications, could be publication of PhD works, training, scientific trainings, it could be patents, it could be products, it could be anything. But you should know what you are targeting, and accordingly, you should write the proposal. Now, this is just a slide to, I think all of you are familiar with this thing, that what are the parts of project. Now, format could be anything, but these are the questions they would be asked in one or the other formats. So you should be very clear about all of these: title, summary or abstract, content or hypothesis, review of literature, objective, mathematics, and then alternative strategy in high risk projects. So if it is, you consider in the timeline, budget and reference. So this is something which is part and parcel of any application, any project applications you are submitting to any funding agency. Formats could be different, but it will be there. Now, let me touch some of the points like innovation. So here you should think, if you are thinking in terms of value addition, that what is desirable to the users. So you have a user community in mind. What is that you are going to provide? What is the possible with this technology? What are the other applications or other tools that is going? And is it viable in the market? And then, of course, couple of other cartoons here, like innovation should bring in some kind of ideas, intelligence, solution, inspiration, creativity, and vision. But you should have a very clear understanding where you are going to put your project, as a basic research, societal research, or market-driven research. And that should be very clear. And a good project includes requirements of local needs, because nobody else will come to solve your problem. You have to solve problem of your area, problem of your state, problem of your country. So that is very important. And then we should utilize a lot of local resources and skills. So there is no fun that if we do not have local resources, you need to import those resources, or you need to bring in trained manpower from outside. You need to see what are my persons, how I could make use of them, and if I could use some of the traditional skills, that would be helpful. Similarly, how I could implement it in the field, that is equally important. And then, if required, I can do technical institution collaborations, interface with them and see how it could be of different things. Then it should be a sustainable model. That is very important if you're going to do it. Now, when you are writing grant proposals, each grant comes with a particular set of terms and conditions. There are some USP, unique points in each grant, which you must take care of. Okay, there may be some conditions for age, there may be some condition for subjects, there may be conditions for institutions, type of institutions, or whatever it is. You need to follow the guidelines, avoid fuzzy and inappropriate words. So that is very simple. Do a lot of work on prior things done in your domain. You should have a good idea, because that is where you can bring in concept of novelty. If you have not studied well about what is happening in your domain, in India, outside in India, then it would be really very difficult. And then you should know what all is required for implementation of projects. For example, administratively, you would require consent from your institutions. You would require collaboration in case of multidisciplinary research projects. And you have to see what are the facilities which are available, because if you need to create new facility, that will take time. If you need to import or bank upon facilities in some other institute, it goes as per their available slot. So you need to take all those things, and then you need to set up develop initial tie-up that, okay, after 6 months, my students will come and do such and such work in your lab. So those tie-ups should be in place, and clearances from various committees, ethics, biosafety, preclinical, whatever is applicable, should be done. And then you should make project objective, which should be SMART, which is specific, not vague, measurable with numbers, attainable, possible to be achieved, result oriented, tied to goals, and time bound. So if you could make your objective SMART, that makes the project right. Something that is important after you have done your initial draft, you should get it peer review by yourself. And these are some of the background checks: what is latest, what is known, and what are the responses, what is the latest status, has the concept changed in recent times, and what are the gap areas. Now, if you have identified gap areas and you are going to focus upon their, chances are much more of getting a project. Several programs will use different formats. Please make sure that you are using appropriate format. This is a very common mistake we do, that we will take SERB format for common research grant and we'll put it everywhere so that we feel it would be applicable. No, each scheme has some requirement. That is why they are different, and they would have a different format. So you should make sure that right format it is there. And then you should plan your actions. You should identify each goals, that who is going to do in your team, when they would be doing it, and how they would be doing it, why you have chosen a particular methodology, is there any alternative, and what is the timeline. I think each one of that you need to define in your teamwork, and you can do it. And simple thing, once again, be concise. Don't be superfluous words. Don't use passive words, use active words. Don't use jargons, don't be wordy. So these are some simple ideas to help you in writing the proposals. Now, there are some issues through which projects get rejected: when you are too ambitious, when you are too general, and you assume that reviewers knows how capable you are. Reviewer doesn't know, because reviewer will see your biodata and then make an opinion. But then you have to convince reader or reviewer about your work. You have included some hidden costs, whether intentional or unintentional. You are rushing a proposal. Don't rush up. Don't send hurried proposal. It is important that you must revise the proposal even after submission when there is a possibility to correct it. So be ambitious but realistic. Make proposal based on your proven abilities. You should not jump upon, like people working in science communication going to molecular biology. It's a huge jump. If you need to change your field, it should be gradual. You should convince referees that your set of knowledge and your skill set today, whatever you have, could be appropriately applied in the new domain. Then referees would feel happy and would like to go ahead. So if you are heading into a new territory, you have to have proof of concept that you are in a position to deliver that, convince that. And then remember, referees are also like you and me. They do not come from anywhere else. So they review many applications. So they would like to see what are the applications. And if they find your application easy to understand, they will give more time. Very often, if I send 20 proposals to a referee would read 20 proposals in one day. And in one day, suppose he gives 5-6 quality hours, he may not be interested to read proposals which are less of interest. So maybe after reading 10 minutes, he may hide it off. Okay, so you need to make your proposal interesting enough, easy to understand. Its impact should be clear, and your proposal should be your advocate. Get the reviewers on your side, because after you have given the proposal to the referees or to us and we have sent it to referees, the referee should be your advocate. They should be arguing for your project. That should be the quality. Content is the king. Be focused, specific. Show your project is related to grant givers' goals. Provide details, including justified budget. Include everything that is required in the terms of this thing. Define terms. Don't use abbreviations. Be concise. Take time for revision. Get feedback from other people. Maintain your individuality. Similarly, methodology, it should be well defined in a stepwise manner. No need to give details, but at least the outline should be there. This is how you would be approaching. You should prepare an attached preliminary questionnaire if you feel that would be required. You should be knowing that who are the content and target beneficiaries, and if training or workshop is required, that could be done. Have a look on the budget. It should be realistic. Budget does not decide the fate of project, but it is very important that you are not going overboard. So what you should do is that you should work on that, request only those parts which are significant, and then see what would make your project reality. What are the norms of your own institutions and of the funding agency? And if you require bulk purchase or equipment purchase, you should have a quote so that you know you are close to the figures what you are looking for. But remember one thing, and I would like to reassure you that we are stressing more on the scientific quality or project quality rather than the budget. Budget is a secondary consideration. And then, of course, in each project, you need to divide your action into timeline, what you would be doing when, and this helps you in delivery and maintenance of the projects. Formatting is important. Use numbers, header, footer, photos, diagram, make it look like professional. Maintain productivity and describe that if there is a situation, if PI goes on leave or falls ill or changes institution, how you are going to address those issues. And once again, there are several forms of misconduct which are reported, which you must avoid. Plagiarism is one, then charges of work already done, falsification of data or fabrication of reports. This is something to be avoided. And then make sure you are doing proofreading and editing. So proofreading is different than editing. So proofreading focuses on general grammatical errors, whereas editing is more to do with style, flow, clarity, logic. And then you should have a good SWOT analysis of your project. What are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, opportunities, and threat? And that will help you in determining a good project. And before I go to other topic, make sure that you have a mentor. I'm not sure if your university has got a research advisory group which screens in all the projects submitted by the researchers, but if it is not there, please go for mentorship. And mentorship does not mean that somebody will steal your idea, but by a debate with the senior faculty, maybe from your own institution or from outside, it will help you in improving the project quality. And lastly, if your project is rejected, which is happening because success rate is 5 to 10% in most of our cases, don't give up. Get reviews, talk to the concerned agency, reevaluate, revise, and resubmit. Look for other funding agencies, because if agency 1 is not doing it, we could go to agency 2, agency 3. Of course, we are doing some revision, and in time to come, there would be more opportunity for the same proposal to be considered by different agency under different program. But right now, you have to see that how your project could be of interest to others. So now I will come to third part. on draft science, technology, and innovation policy. Now, this policy is currently under consideration of cabinet. Now, before we go to this policy, I would like to give you just some figures. India is considered at number 3 by NSF and number 5 by Scopus in terms of scientific publications. We are number 3 in terms of technology startups. Number of unicorns we have done is also number 3. And then in terms of patent filing, we are number 9. In terms of global innovation index, we are in top 50. And idea is we need to improve all of them. And with those intention in mind, we have prepared this policy. Now, first policy of India, science policy, came in 1958, where we had an idea that you may remember our first Prime Minister who said that scientific institutions are temple of modern India. And cultivation of science and scientific research was considered as a very, very important aspect. So our policy in 1958 was to foster, promote, and sustain science. But after nearly 25 years, we realized that science alone will not be helpful. And we should have a policy for the technology also. So we came with a new document. So while science policy continued, we came up with a technology policy statement. We said that we need to emphasize the need of technological competence and self-reliance. So you might have been hearing Atmanirbhar Bharat in recent time, but that was a term we adopted in 1983. And then during the 100th session of Science Congress in 2003, a new science and technology policy was put in place, bringing in both science and technology together. And that was to develop integrated programs of socio-economic sectors with the national research and development systems, and also to create national innovation system. And then we changed this policy in 2013 to include innovation also. So now the existing policy is science, technology, and innovation to focus on faster, sustainable, and inclusive development. So with this background, we will see what are the new policy. And this new policy have been worked during the COVID times. We have had nearly more than 1,000 sittings in different stakeholders. Like we ask a doctoral student, we ask postdoctoral student, we ask faculty, we ask researchers, we ask industries, we ask governments. So different stakeholders have been consulted, and there are 11 chapters which have been recommended. So I would like to highlight only the recommendation part of this policy. So first recommendation is on open science. So we would like to make science as easy as possible. So idea is that there should be a repository of all kind of data related to STI, that is science, technology, and innovation ecosystem. And also to create an archives of research. What kind of research have been supported in past? And all those reports which comes as a project submission document of public funded research. So whatever is the output, that output should be shareable. We are also putting an open data policy for public funded research, that all data should be available to everyone in fair, accessible, interoperable, and reusable terms. And also there should be full access to the manuscripts which are published, not prior to publication, published manuscripts which are supported through public funding. And then the most important part of this chapter is we are talking about national subscription of scientific journals. Now remember, there was a time when journals were having individual subscription. Then we came to institutional subscription. And now we are talking in this policy about national subscription. And idea is whether you come from a well-endowed institution or from a less endowed institution, you all should have a right to know what is the published knowledge, published information. So all of you should be having an access. Many of the time we feel that our universities, especially state-funded university or some of the private university, are not subscribing to good number of journal because they are very expensive. So we are looking for an alternative, negotiating on this thing and talking about national subscription. We are also putting focus on capacity development. So in our national education policy, which was adopted 2 years ago, we have identified higher educational institutions. So we would like to create a research excellence framework in there. We are also coming up with concept of engaged universities, where we would like to do a lot of interdisciplinary research. Also, we would like to bring in society, so socio-economic research and scientific research to be put together, and then innovation and entrepreneurship. So right now, we are doing research in the academic and scientific institutions. Industry is not part of it. So we would like to develop a cluster where they could work together. So academic institution, R&D institution, industry, startup, they should all work together and create also teaching learning centers in urban. So faculty must be upskilled all the time with the experience being gained. And we are also trying to create collaborative research centers so that we could bring academia, industry, MSME, startup, higher educational institution, and government together. There is also a proposal that several scientific institutions be converted into research university. They are not allowed to take classes, but they could be converted into a research university. And then we are going to establish an independent, professionally managed, self-sustaining equipment infrastructure system. So scientific equipment should be provided to all users, irrespective of its cost. And if we have got in one part of the country, then all academic institutions, all research institutions in that area be able to make use of it. Then there is a chapter on financing. So we would like to expand the funding landscape, and we are asking each department of the government to earmark fund for research. For example, today there are several departments like Ministry of Petroleum, Department of Coal, Department of Jal Shakti. They are not spending any money on research, whereas their subject, whatever they are handling, requires a constant improvement. So there is no field where there is no research. So we are asking each ministries that they should earmark at least 2% of their budget into research. And if that funds comes, that will eventually go to a newly created organization called National Research Foundation, which you might have heard of in National Education Policy. So we are looking to take money from all those things. Similarly, we are asking each state government also. The state government has got Science and Technology Council, but they are not very, very active platform in several states. In some states, of course, they are quite active, but not many. So we are trying how to make them more oriented, active, and we are asking each state government to earmark some funds. Then, of course, we are asking foreign multinational companies to develop partnership with domestic, private, and public sector entities and to work on projects aligned to Indian needs and priorities. And then we are also giving financial incentives to industries who invest in science, technology, and innovation. We are working out financial models to industry, especially medium and small industries, so that they can pursue research through innovation support schemes. There are several fast track systems for them to be considered. And then we are also trying to create a bank, something like IDBI. There could be a science and technology development bank for the purpose. And also we are looking to make some relaxation in GFR. So currently very limited flexibility is provided under the financial rules. So that is something we are looking forward for. We are looking for making joint apartments. So government would have parallel. So you right now entry in the government is only through two channels. You come through UPSC or you are hired by the particular agencies. Just a moment, the light is not coming. Huh? No, light to my laptop. It is about to go. Yeah, thank you. So what we are trying to do is that we are going to take experts specific in a particular field who would be working in a given ministry. So there would be a 3-year, 4-year appointment for academic and research faculty in specialized government departments so that they could contribute whatever new they are learning and they would be addressing that. Then we are looking for research solutions addressed towards our different socio-economic strata, different regions, and particularly focusing on rural societies. We are putting a lot of public funded research, which are largely invisible to target stakeholders such as line ministries, who often carry out research that has already been, for example, Ministry of Mines may come with a proposal that, okay, we'll support, but they are not aware that who else is doing and what kind of research has been done. So we are trying to do that. As I said, that we are constantly working on ease of doing research. Lot of digitalization is happening. E-governance would play a major role in grant management. And this archives also sharing of information through the archive, science and technology archives would help in implementation of open data and open access policy. And then we would create benchmarks for ease of doing research. Then a lot of focus on innovation and entrepreneurship. So institutional architecture would be developed for integrating traditional knowledge systems. You see, problem like I told in the beginning about nanotechnology. There are a lot of examples of traditional knowledge which have not been documented or scientifically validated. So that is where we are trying to put a lot of focus on grassroots innovations in overall, trying to bring them in education, research and innovation system, trying to connect grassroots innovators with the scientists so that they could develop joint projects. And grassroots innovator would also be supported for registration, IP filing, and other time of legal claims. And then we would like to go a lot on incubation and acceleration so that you could go on high TRL research. We are going to put a lot of emphasis on indigenous technologies. And here development would be a key part. And we would prefer Indian companies providing, even if they are providing part solutions, developing products which could be used in a bigger projects. That would be our attempt. Technology indigenizations and sustainable technology push is something what we are looking for in this policy. And then we are going to develop a strategic technology board. Now this board will have a long-term vision. They would see how India would be after 5 years, after 10 years, after 20 years, and what are the areas where we should work upon, how we would be competing with other research ecosystem around the world and how India could contribute in that part. So we are looking for this board, and this board will also see that what are the technology which are currently in space, defense realm, how they could be made as a spin-off technology for civilian users. So this board would be helping in all this long-term vision, long-term planning, and also in use of civilian technology for civilian purposes. Then there is a lot of emphasis that we should bring in equity and inclusion. So as all of us knows that a lot of programs we have taken for gender equality, but there are other sectors like people coming from remote India or rural India. They are not very active. Most of our scientific institutions are in cities, and rural masses may or may not have access. So that is where we would like to put a lot of emphasis. We would like to bring in LGBT community into research. That is another aspect. Differently abled individual, including the Divyangjan, would be given special attention. So that is what we are looking, how to involve everybody, all possible stakeholders who could contribute for the growth of science in this country. Another important change, and today is Women Day. So there are times when women go out of their career, scientific career. So what we are proposing that instead of their biological age, if we could consider their academic age and consider all those parameters for what she is eligible for. So this is something we have argued in this thing. And we are also recommending for a dual recruitment so that couples do not face challenge of choosing one spouse career over the others. We are also trying to bring in institutional mechanisms to bring about diversity, equity, and inclusion. DST has already started a program on Gati, gender advancement in transforming of the institutions, where we are giving some incentives to institutions who are maintaining healthy gender balance. Then we are looking for creating cross-disciplinary platform of science communication. We realize that communication is very important because that gives you confidence that what researchers are doing, public should be knowing, and we should develop community-centric programs. It could be in forms of audio-video program, it could be newspaper writing, it could be blogs. But idea is that we should give more and more publicity so that public at large get confident what kind of research you are doing. And then if they are in a position to look for a document, it should be accessible. So science communication should make this thing easy. So we are looking for scientific social responsibility. Each one of us, it's something like corporate social responsibility. So in time to come, it is going to come. Currently, it is under formulation. And we are encouraging that each one of us should own some responsibility towards the new generation in science. And then we should maintain this thing, and there should be each college, each department should have a person who makes the communication about the department activity to the masses. And probably each institution may do once periodic exercise of informing the society where they are. And we are going to establish science media center at national and regional level for the better access. We are also looking for better engagement with diaspora, and we are trying to see that how the brain gain could be converted. We could get more richer in terms of brain circulations. We are trying to connect and provide them programs so that they could work with Indian organizations. And we have created a portal called Prabhas, Pravasi Bharati Academic and Scientific Sampark, through which they could get connected. We are looking for science and technology for diplomacy and diplomacy for science. And idea is, while science is a good tool for the foreign diplomacy, we should look how we could solve our problems. For example, the 1-2-3 agreement or launching of space satellite by ISRO for so many countries. There are several scientific tools which helps diplomacy, and also we are taking help of diplomats in resolving our issues. And we would like to create international knowledge centers so that we could promote global knowledge and talent exchange. We are looking for more representation of science officers in our embassies abroad. And then we are looking to create an interministerial science and technology innovation governance mechanism so that each ministry could come and share where they would like to put focus. Similarly, with states, various states, we would like to have this mechanism, center state, interstate mechanism. And idea is how we could strengthen national research foundations. We could standardize research and innovation excellence framework, develop metrics to evaluate and recognize outcome and impact. And then also we could have lateral recruitment. As I said, that we can take people from academic and scientific background to come to the government and work with them. And also a program on capacity development in research and innovation to be strengthened. And we are also going to have a series of institutions which will focus on science technology policy, how it will come in time to come, and interoperable matter data architecture would be developed, policy research would be strengthened, and there would be an advisory system which will help in taking various decisions by the government through the scientific consultative processes. The overall vision of this policy is that India should be top 3 scientific superpowers. We should attract, nurture, strengthen, and retain critical human capital through people-centric science, technology, and innovation. We should double our full-time equivalent researchers, I'm sorry for the spelling mistake, from gross domestic expenditure on research and private sector contribution to the research every 5 years. So we should double that resources, and we should build individual and institutional excellence in science, technology, and innovation with aspiration to achieve highest level of global recognition in coming decade. So these are our targets for the next 10 years. And with this, I would like to close for today. And of course, I'm open to any query you would like to have. Thank you. Yeah.
So, Dr. Varshney, thank you very much, and nice to have this kind of thing. I think it will be very useful for our young scientists and also the students. But in the last slide, you have given all the what we call the thought process in the policy making. One thing I would like to also think together with you. See, in many countries, they have some kind of academic positions for people coming from industry at a given time, either partially or completely or for even short time. I think that may be very useful, because one of the major drawbacks that we are facing, when I say language, the dialogue between industry and the university, because a lot of issues are there. So those people who want to come to academy after certain experience for different reason, or even after retirement, or even partial time, are these things included in the policy thinking of DST? I think that may be very useful for youngsters in combining the effort that you are putting, saying that with innovation, with product and society, etc. Because what exactly the industry can go further in terms of thing, and how the students can get aware of all those industrial, what you call, questions, challenges, everything. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I think you have raised a very pertinent issue, and we have included lateral appointments. And when we are talking about lateral appointment, how we are going to implement it? First, of course, we have to do it in the government. And then we can encourage all scientific academic institutions that they should also reciprocate. Because, there are certain echelon, like people working in industry may not be having PhDs. Now, university won't like to have anybody less than PhD.
Yes, there are certain.
No, there are. I'm saying, but
Yeah.
I'm saying many university would not like to have a person, because a fellow may have done work, they have developed a niche area of himself or herself, and if he or she could contribute to the academic organization, they must accept it. But then they have those invisible walls which needs to be broken.
Mhm.
And that could happen when they see a lot of people from academia going to the government and making those changes. And I'm sure that academic institution in time to come will respond, will reciprocate. Now, the moment you put a mandatory condition, then they would like to oppose. It has to come voluntarily.
I have one more issue.
Yeah, please.
That was not raised in your talk. Very interesting talk, but one small issue. See, the universities are academic institutions. They are encouraged, and you are funding, you are doing it very well to work with industries. So all the workforce in any academic institution is not the professor, is not the assistant professor, the students, PhD students. So there is a very big problem. This I've been talking to the government in most meetings. See, our government policies of publication UGC, I'm talking about UGC specifically. I think the different departments of government should come together and talk about it. The industry-based projects cannot be published everything. And there are a lot of tough rules, and also the open defense where everything should be open public. So there are a lot of restriction, and you know me, I'm not new to you. So in a country where I was working for 35 years as professor, we had, when the industry-based project, when the project is mainly with the industry with partial funding or full funding from them, we used to have special rules for those candidates. Of course, justifying the quality. Quality is the first thing we will never sacrifice, but justifying in terms of the publication requirements, which UGC is imposing. UGC again government organization, and your department has got a very different, wide view, more open, and DBT also. So I think this has to be taken up at the ministerial level to see, are there any specific clauses to say that industry-oriented research can be made more plausible in the academic institutions.
Thank you for raising it. I think I'll convey these sentiments to our friends in UGC. But as far as Department of Science and Technology is concerned, we are rather flexible. In fact, we would like academia to work more and more with industry so that they know what is that industry requires and they could respond to it. And we have also launched some fellowship where students could work in industry for their degrees. And those programs are on. And of course, we understand that anything which you are doing in a commercial research cannot be published and needs to be protected appropriately. But some kind of education would be required, because you see why UGC is coming with guideline 1 or guideline 2. For example, recently they have come up with a list of research journals where you can get published. Why they have come up? Because they have been informed by number of faculties that if you want easy publication, then these are the journals. So UGC has done an exercise. I don't know how good or how bad it is, but still that list is quite exhaustive. And I always feel that anything that comes by compulsion is not appreciated. So even that list, people are not very happy. They say, why UGC should restrict? We can publish only in those journals, or why UGC will count our publication in only those journals and otherwise it will not count. Yeah. So, but I take your point. I fully realize that commercial research cannot be published just like that. It needs to be protected, and we need to encourage that research.
But there is one possibility that I think you and UGC can come together. The people who are working with the industrial funding and industrial thing, the committee should be made specific, and also they can write a review paper so that they are also satisfying the UGC demand. I think this kind of what you call the mixed mode of interacting will be made easy for people to be working more smoothly with industry contracts.
Thank you. I'll convey this thing and let us hope for the best. Yeah, please.
Dr. Varshney, thank you. Thank you so much for such a nice talk. I'm Dr. Priyankar from Center for Bioseparation Technology. I have two specific questions regarding the writing of project. So what I have seen that generally when the projects are rejected from any across any funding agency, it's like a very stark that it has been rejected. There is no description that on what ground it has been rejected. Say, for example, some 10-15 points, say you mark from out of 10 how much the reviewer want to give, say out of 10, say content is 5 or the presentation is 7. So at least if this kind of thing we get, at least we can learn that how we can improve our projects.
Now, if I could respond to that question.
Yeah, please.
Well, you are absolutely in your rights, and that is what I have written in my one of the slide, that if your paper get rejected, you ask the agency what are the observations given by the referees. Because normally what is happening, you get a computer generated response.
Yeah.
And computer generated response has got certain parameters. It doesn't give you details of that. Okay. So always that letter will have some name of an officer who is handling that project in the department, any agency, any fund. So you write to that fellow and ask for detailed comments as made by the experts on your project. So you may not get results what you are feeling like scoring on each point or each parameter, but in whatever format, because different agency collects those reports in different formats. Okay. So whatever way they have collected, they will share with you. Okay. Sometime some of my friends may not be that cooperative. So you may need to remind them a couple of times or maybe write to their seniors. But you have a right to know why your project was not supported.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Second, it's a request. I mean, if it is possible, in maybe future, can we get a project writing assistance from the funding agency itself? Say, for example, just what the points you have told here. It may not that every project writer may get such informations. That is very important informations are there. So if say all the funding agencies give the assistance to say, I have a forum where I am sending a draft and they can tell, sir, you have these problems in your draft itself. So that could be very helpful for say beginners.
No, I think if academic institution invite funding agencies would be too delighted to talk about any specific call which they have made and how they would like to do the outreach exercise within concerned group of stakeholders. So if that attempt is made, fantastic. If it is not made, then of course, information is limited to the website. And you can always inquire something that, okay, I want to know this. So concerned fellow would answer you those questions. But I take your point. We require to do more and more outreach, and maybe some regular courses, maybe as a part of FDP, where you could be told about these exercises, do's and don'ts, and interesting aspects of any particular scheme you may like to analyze in FDPs.
In fact, interestingly, there are a lot of online companies has emerged. They give I mean, against hefty amount of money, they give such assistance that for writing a project. So anyway, I mean, that's a good point if you do, sir. I mean, a point discussion I must wish to do here, that you told that one of the biggest focus is rural problems, focus on rural problems. But interestingly, even if the most rural problems, we are forced to write it in English only. So although India has 20 major vernacular languages, still each and every projects has to be written in English and English only. So there will be little flexibility, and some people who are not, speak like me in some vernacular languages, they are also get the opportunity to write some projects.
When we are talking about diversity and inclusion, this is a very, very important considerations. So we have already started a program for those who are having certain technologies as grassroots innovator, we are calling them, helping them in developing scientific documenting whatever knowledge they have got, and then helping them in scientific validation, patenting, and other things. Similarly, we are encouraging people to work in those sectors. Now, government has also identified several aspirational districts where we would like to work. But now coming back to your main question, that how funding agencies should respond, that is where we are looking for a larger contribution from state S&T Council. Okay. So we are providing them some extra support from the center, and we are also asking state government to give them some more autonomy, because at the end of the day, they are organ of the state government, and they would be dealing with the subjects which are prescribed by the state government. So center may give anything extra, but that would remain extra as a liability, not as a...
Yeah, true.
So what we are suggesting is state S&T Council should go more and more in local languages. And at least in each state, of course, there are states where more than one language is spoken. But in the official language of the state, they should encourage development of science. At the center, it would be very difficult at this stage, because we need to compete with applications coming from any part of the country. And for regions, I don't know why English has been continuing. It will take a little longer. But I am very confident if we succeed at the state level, then at a bigger level, we could go and do it at the national level.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Very clear explanation. Thank you.
There's somebody on the back.
Sir, I have a question that means, as I am a PhD scholar, when I apply for some startup grant or any other fellowship, so several times I saw they are asking for a writing sample. So in that case, as you mentioned, that more of the funding agency, they are they are asking for the impact journals. So as a writing sample, what can I submit? Or it could be a patent, review or research. If it is, then what kind of journal it should be?
No, can you elaborate what is the writing samples?
Writing samples means just the funding agency asks the previous writing sample. So it means the previous published document. So what it is exactly?
No, actually, there is a difference between the faculty and student, because we know that a student, especially doctoral student, may or may not have prior publication.
Mhm.
Okay. So we need to see what kind of work is being done and what kind of skills are being acquired. Okay. And then with the help of your mentor, you need to publish something, because you see, your assessment would start from there. So even when you are for JRF, there is nothing such requirement that you
Yes,
should
sir.
have a prior publication. But if you are going directly for SRF, if you are getting promoted from JRF to SRF, probably again there is no such requirement. But if you are going to a direct SRF, then they would ask you to publish at least one paper. Okay. And your guide mentor could help you in suggesting that, okay, this is something you could target for. Okay. And for your subsequent thing, post PhD, obviously, because whatever knowledge you have generated through your doctoral work, you need to convert it into some meaningful way, whether it is publication, patents, or whatever.
Thank you, sir. But my question has not been cleared yet because as right now the Fulbright is going on, the application for Fulbright. So Fulbright is asking for a writing sample. So means as I have some patent, some research, just a couple of research and a review paper. So could you please tell me that exactly what shall I submit to them?
One thing I must tell you is, first, if you are going for any foreign fellowship, check who are the earlier recipient of that scholarship or fellowship in your own institution. They may be in your department or they may be in some other departments. Consult them. What is shareable? What is not shareable? Because several times these foreign funding agencies would like to extract information. And if you are giving information on patents you are working, that is not good. Because
So if the patent has been published,
published one is fine. So that is a good sample. So if you have published information through a patent, you can share that.
okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And
But
if
still it is good, because you see, I mentioned about mentorship also. So mentorship says this thing. So if you apply to Fulbright, you check maybe with the help of registrar who are the Fulbrighter in VIT. And they will tell you that X, Y, Z are the Fulbrighters. Then you go to them, consult that I want to make this application for Fulbright. Is it appropriate? Is it good? Does it require some changes? What are their expectations? You see, it is not only your expectation, also it is the expectation of host from you that plays a role. So your senior faculty could guide you on those aspects.
thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sir, good morning. Thanks for the wonderful presentation. Rajashekar, and I represent CDMM. So my question is, as you have mentioned in one of your slides, that there are many rural problems for which solutions are required. So in that aspect, is there any possibility to have, as you said, scientific repository is being created? So is there any possibility to create a repository for these rural problems, getting consultations from different states, so what their rural problems are, and correspondingly somewhere our knowledge is being utilized for solving some rural problems?
No, first of all, let me clarify the third part, which I am talking about policy, that is still in the thought process, because that has not been adopted. Okay. It is still with the cabinet. Once it is approved, then it will be done. Right now, there are programs, and we have a program, Science for Society, through which we would like to address the challenges being faced by the rural society. And earlier we had a program called Pura, providing urban facility in rural environment. So idea is how we could upgrade our rural masses, how we could take fruits of technologies over there. I'll give you one example. Now there are villages which are not connected to the grid. Now, can they be provided electricity by local solutions? So suppose we put up a solar collector over there and generate electricity good enough to meet requirement of that village with minimum of wiring. Okay, so those kind of solutions are being considered. Similarly, water. So like in city, we get potable water, which have been at least certified by municipality. In villages, that provision is not there. So how we can create solutions like providing drinkable water to the people living in that village. So we need local solutions. Okay, we need to take technology. We need to provide them solutions as good as they are available for the urban areas. But we require a lot of heart to go and understand the issues being faced by those people and then respond. And that is possible if you are a faculty, take some of the students from that background who can share their experience, what challenges they are facing, and then probably collectively you can work on those answers. There are schemes for that purpose.
Likewise, if you could elaborate the fellowship for the students, especially the science graduates. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities because they are going abroad now. Plenty of opportunities for our students because we have a very, brighter students. The fellowships, if they have, suppose if you could guide us, we can inform our students so that they can get motivated.
Thank you. In fact, I did not prepare myself for those things in this talk, but let me just see if I can quickly find out one of my presentation on DST schemes. Just a moment. So DST offers a lot of fellowships at various level. So if I can quickly run through them. So one is Kishore Vaigyanik Protsahan Yojana. So one, of course, what is written in black are all domestic. What is written in green are all overseas. And then there are some other programs. So Kishore Vaigyanik Protsahan Yojana is usually for the school students and those who are joining master classes or bachelor classes in sciences. And normally it is given after passing class 10th. So from class 11th, you could do it. Indian Institute of Science conducts examination on behalf of DST and give it. Good thing is that now KVP recipients are considered at par with JEE. And in ICERs, if you are a KVP holder, then you need not to write JEE. And on the basis of your KVP certificate, you can enter into ICERs. There may be some more organizations, but I'm just giving you one example that they respect that they would have written that if you are having KVP, you need not to write any examination, you're just welcome. Similarly, Inspire Fellowship, we are giving from different groups. One group is class 6 to class 10th, then 11, 12th, and then we are giving to the top 1% of any board, whether it is CBSE, ICSE, or any state board, provided you are going to study science in higher classes. And then for graduation, masters, doctoral, also Inspire Fellowships are available. And then even after a PhD, up to a particular age, I think it is 35 years, you can get Inspire Faculty Award also for 5 years. But this is not job. You know, all these things are fellowships. So anybody who is getting Inspire Fellowship should remember this, that this is fellowship. Then in DST projects, you get JRF, SRF, RA. So DST does not conduct any examination, but if you have passed any national examination, you are eligible to be recruited as JRF. And then of course, depending upon your experience and qualifications, you can get it as SRF and research associate. We have started PM Fellowship in partnership with Confederation of Indian Industry, CII. And here, researchers who are working on industrial issues, they give us a kind of pre-proposal, which we circulate to CII and CII to their members, and 100 ideas each year are picked. And those students whose ideas are picked, they are provided double fellowship. So whatever fellowship is being provided by the government, same fellowship is matched by the industry. So they get two good exposure. One is double fellowship and then exposure to work directly in the industry. Then National Postdoctoral Fellowship is one of our flagship programs, especially for those who have done PhD and are unemployed. So they could work in for another 3 years under this fellowship program. There is only one condition, and that is that you should identify a new institute to work for. It should not be the place from where you have done your PhD. Then Swarn Jayanti Fellowship, it was announced when India got 50th year of its independence, and it is primarily for mid-career researchers. So you are already established faculty and you are being given some specific grants. Then JC Bose Fellowship is for scientists who have excelled in their particular field. They are publishing regularly, develop a name for themselves. So it's a kind of recognition. Ramanna Fellowship is a fellow who have done at least 3 projects for SERB, have been graded nicely. Ramanujam Fellowship is for those who are working currently abroad and would like to return to India. And then Distinguished Scientist Scheme is for those who have completed their regular service and would like to work for science in some capacity. Then we are also providing overseas exposure. So Lindau meeting is basically meeting with the Nobel laureates. It is cyclic in order: 1 year physics, 1 year chemistry, 1 year biology, 1 year mix. Asian Science Camp is meeting with Asian science luminaries. They are not all the Nobel laureates, but then good number of them are quite distinguished scientists. And these 2 opportunities, Lindau and Asian Science Camp, are provided to bachelor, master, and doctoral students. Bilateral projects, I think many of the faculty have got bilateral projects, and we are encouraging participation of a student in that, and that is welcome. We have also launched PhD placement or PhD fellowships with certain countries where we are providing 3 to 6 month overseas exposure to Indian students. And idea is that we take those students who have got at least 2 years of research experience. So they are not in final year. They already know what are the skill set that is required. And they are also aware that what is the research problem they are working. So they should not deviate a lot. Then we have limited number of overseas postdoctoral fellowships. It's not very, we have not advertised for last 2 years for the COVID reason, but it will come in time to come. Then we are also providing some scholarships for internship. So these are under SN Bose scholarship for the engineering student, Khurana program for biotechnology students, and GROW program is graduate research opportunities worldwide. So under these things, we are providing 3 to 6 month internship opportunity. So I think these are different fellowships which are offered by DST faculty. And recently we have started, because this presentation was not updated. So we have also started a program called SIRE, where we are providing mid-career opportunity for faculty to set up international collaborations or development. Thank you.
So on behalf of every one of you, I thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful insight on 3 areas of your talk. One is motivation for the scholars. The other one, what are the do's and don'ts for the research, and about the innovation policies which is going to come in research. I thank VIT management for the opportunity given. I also thank Professor Anil Kumar sir, who is the man behind this, bringing sir to this forum. I thank all the faculty colleagues, my own other school deans, directors, associate dean for the time in coming and having this. I thank you once again, sir, for this. I also take this opportunity to thank our CTS team for the wonderful arrangement and for the live YouTube link given so that the people from other campus also they can able to watch, and the team from PRO for this videographing and all these things. I thank one and all for again for this. So can I give a one big clap for sir?
Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir.
In case anything is there, you can always write me. I'll try to respond in a reasonable time. And when I say reasonable time, normally it is 2 working days. Can you take it off? Connections.